Perfect. I hope there's no mic issues with me.
Yeah, your sounds fine.
Perfect. Just for other people to keep an eye on the stream, I'm just putting a link to the live stream down here. We can give it a few more minutes, Sreelakshmi, and then I think we can start.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Okay. Someone also commented on the stream. We were just having fun issues with the server where we host Jitsi. I think the last time we did a stream using this server, the server wasn't powerful enough, so it just crashed.
Okay.
This happened, I think, first Saturday of this month when there was another virtual meetup / call that we live stream. So last minute we switched to meet.jitsi instead of using our self-hosted Jitsi, and then today I decided let's bump the machine specs to be a bit more beefier. And then after I did that upgrade, Jitsi went down. so so for the last 45 minutes, we've been trying to figure out, okay, what did we do wrong? How do we get this thing to work again? And yeah, it was just a stupid firewall that needed to be restarted, and then magically everything came back to life.
Nice to see you're on hosted server.
Yeah, no. Again, the other virtual call that we do, we had fun problems where there was somebody who was just not able to join the call at all. Like they tried with different browsers, they tried with different, they tried the app, multiple apps on mobile and on their laptops to see if like different networks help. So we just thought, oh, you know what, it's like we need to switch to a hosted Jitsi instead of using the main thing. It's also, from what we've seen, better stream quality and call latency, um, call performance in general, because the server is in India instead of like the server being in the US or Europe or something.
Mm-hmm.
Pranil, folks, do we want to start? I think we're about 15 people apart from me and Sreelakshmi. Okay. Perfect. I don't know if there's anything that you want to. Okay. Yeah, let's go right ahead. For folks who haven't been here before, First Commit is our series talking to open source contributors, free and open source software contributors. And today we have Sreelakshmi with us. Sreelakshmi is an associate product manager at Bruno, and she's been an active part of the Fascinated community for many years now. And I just very recently realized many years now. Sreelakshmi, is there anything that you'd like to say before we go into some of the questions and thoughts that I have?
Yeah, it's been 5 years being with FOSS United, and yeah, it's been truly joyful, interesting to see the community grow, to see all of this new things you try, experiment, and figure out. And thank you for giving this opportunity to be in the session. Yes.
Um, did you have any? I'm not sure. I think we've like done presentations before, but then like we've sort of like tried a whole bunch of different formats. If if there's anything that you want to talk about in terms of like if you want to monologue, then you can monologue. Otherwise, we're happy to do it like a Q&A.
Sure, sure. Q&A works.
Perfect. I have a bunch of questions lined up, but for the rest of the folks here, if there are questions that you all have, please drop them in the chat. And I think as and when things pop up, I'll pick questions from there and then ask Sreelakshmi. Sreelakshmi, you don't have to go through the chat and all of that. I'll try and pick specific questions. Um, there's a lot that I want to chat about, but I want to start with your first commit. Do you remember your first commit? And can you talk about that?
Uh,
First commit to an open source project.
yeah, sure. I do remember it was also 5 years ago. I was my first year of college. So I went to a senior who was doing interesting stuff. The senior is Anand, by the way. So, and I saw he was contributing to open source. I didn't know what open source software and things were. And I told him that I know C++. I learned C++ in plus one and plus two. So what do I do after this? Like now I know a bit of a language. Do I learn more and more languages? Um, what do I do? So he told me, okay, let's start from where you are. Try to find open source softwares, projects, find them on GitHub, and you can start contributing to it. So I it was repository hunting for some days, and I saw this really cool organization which was Serenity OS. It was an operating system. It is an operating system, and um, yeah, they had really amazing community, very active. Um, yeah, loads of messages each day. People hanging out on Discord. So I just joined Discord and I just observed these people converse for about few days. Um, I wasn't sure. I was at a stage where I could contribute, like make a code change, but I just observed for some time. There were a lot of YouTube streams as well, which the maintainer does, where he codes on live streams and explains things. So I found this small thing that he struggled with. He was, I think it was he was writing something and one autocomplete window didn't open up. So he was going back and forth, and he was struggling with that. So I just thought I'll try to make that flow, fix that bug, and I think I had spent around, I don't know, quite few days on it. Not sure. I think it's 1 or 2 days, and I opened a PR. It was a very small change, and it got merged very soon as well. And I remember it was such a joyful moment. So yeah, I told my parents, told my friends. I wrote a blog about it, and the maintainer saw the blog, and he tweeted that on Twitter. Uh, That 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 really inspired me to keep contributing. Yeah, that's about it.
There's a lot of things there that I want to unpack. But let me start with why did you choose to blog about it?
So it was just I wanted to sort of preserve the moment. It was just too much happiness or joy at a time. I couldn't express, or I wanted to like pin it down, write it down, and keep it with me. So I haven't, but now that I think about it, I haven't written a blog in like so while a long time. So yeah, that was the reason.
No. I like there's 16 other people here. I don't know how many people have started a blog in the first place, let alone actually maintain a blog for a very long period of time. I did go through the blog, by the way, which is why I started the whole thing with asking about your first commit to Serenity OS. But one of the things that I found very interesting, and this is why I said like you've been associated with Fascinated for a very, very long time, is you mentioned first commit in the blog post. Do you remember that? Like, what was that about?
So yeah, this was all around the same time I joined FOSS United as well, and there was this program First Commit, and it was since initial stages I got to meet Anand Chittipotu, and I got this um, a big opportunity to interview a senior software engineer, um, and I have never interviewed someone before. It was all new to me, and it is so grateful that he gave me that opportunity. So yeah, a lot of learnings during that time, and this also helped me. I met Devdutt. I was talking about, I think, my contributions to Serenity, to all of them. Um, yeah.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Anand Chetipotu was the first CEO of Us United. And yeah, like we're talking about first commit way back in 2020, 2021. The very first time first commit actually came out, and yeah, it was meant to try and inspire new contributions to free and open source projects. So that's absolutely great to hear, Sreelakshmi. You've been around in Us United way longer than I have. Um, 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 I'll go back a little bit on what you said. Um, Repo hunting, like you said, you spent at least a couple of weeks digging for repositories and um, uh, trying to identify which projects to contribute to. Like, what was that experience like, and how did you like? Why did you settle on Serenity? And do you remember any of the other projects that like you had looked through? I mean, it's a very, very long time ago.
Yeah, I don't clearly remember. So I remember two distinctive repo hunting. One was for this first contribution. The other one was when I was trying to participate in like GSoC as well. So I
Hmm.
don't clearly remember the very first one, but I heard a lot of Serenity in a lot of places. Twitter, they were very active. So,
Hmm.
yeah, but yep, I don't remember the other repositories.
Um, No, that's very interesting. Do you know what the Serenity OS person is doing right now?
He is still maintaining it, right? He has built another browser, a Ladybird browser.
Perfect. Yeah. Again, like I found it very interesting because that's how I came across Serenity OS in the first place. I am currently using the Ladybird browser, not for this call. It's a little too unstable for this call. But yeah, I've been following Ladybird, and he's mentioned Serenity OS a few times in the past. So I was just very pleasantly surprised when I came across the fact that your first contribution was to Serenity OS. Um, just one other like thing, digging into this a little bit more, right? Like, how was your experience overall? Because I think the very first uh, open source experience sort of makes or breaks someone's life in the open source ecosystem. It very heavily determines whether or not they stay, what sort of initial perception they make, and everything. So you said like you came across an issue, you opened up a request, and it was merged pretty quickly. Like, do you remember that process overall? Like, were there other hindrances or um, like what was like the one very clearly defining thing about that experience which you were like, oh my god, it was just so easy or so convenient, or these were some very weird and awkward things?
So I think for the very first time, I think for everyone it's hard. It was hard for me as well, as in you have to take a leap of hope that you'll figure things out. You when you're looking at a repository for the very first time, um, and given that you've never contributed to any software, things doesn't make sense. So you have to bring in this habit of just looking at it and just observing. At some point later on, things start making sense. So it was like, I would say, for for a long period of time, it was like I'm not sure what's going on. And then that comes in one aha moment, like, okay, I got it now. So I think it's same for a lot of folks.
No, that's absolutely brilliant, and I actually don't think it's the same for a lot of like
Oh,
folks, honestly, Sreelakshmi, because I think so many people don't have that patience of I've picked a project, now I'm just going to sit and observe. I'm just going to keep an eye on what all is going on here, what this person is doing. Look at the streams, be on Discord, etc., etc., and also have the presence of mind where not only are you looking at the stream, you're also recognizing the recurring problems that the maintainer is having, right? I don't think it's a common thing, and I'm just highlighting it because it's very necessary for an open source maintainer. Like that patience of needing to sit back and observe, especially in the beginning, is uh, extremely important. Um, where did things go from there?
so Serenity, I think I continued contributing for some time, and after that, I was also learning Python. I think this was another program which was associated with FOSS United to learn Python. Um, what was the name?
Was this Mon School Joy of Coding?
No, it was something else. I'm sorry, I can't recollect. L- Maybe if I remember, I'll.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
So this was also an interesting program where all the communication happened async. There was a server, mailing server. So we were supposed to learn some concepts on Python. Next day there will be some questions where you answer it. Towards the end of the program, you'll be given a project. So I learned Python during that, and then now this mentality came in that okay, now I understand this language a bit. Now let me go look for repositories where I can contribute to. So then I came across OpenMSS. So yeah, repository selection for this was very different, as in there wasn't an active community around it, and I didn't think a lot. I just read the description, found it interesting. There was a bunch of chemistry and physics. I never thought about um, this kind of applications with chemistry and physics. So it just seemed interesting, and I thought, okay, let me see if I can contribute. So, then I became an active contributor, and I'm still contributing. I'm still a contributor there.
Uh, Actually, can I ask you to explain OpenMSS a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So,
So who is it? Yeah, sorry. Who is it for? What does it do? Um, and yeah,
yes, so it is a software maintained by a research institute, some folks in a research institute in Germany. So, what it does is it's a software to plan atmospheric research flights. And why do they do it? Is with the flight, they measure a lot of parameters in the atmosphere, which is then studied by researchers to perform a lot of experiments and also help identify things like ozone holes. Yeah,
And just to clarify, MSS is Mission Support System.
yeah, yeah.
And so again, like that in itself is already interesting. A lot of people, I think, just tend to look for like a very computer sciencey project. Like for example, Serenity OS is a very computer sciencey project. I didn't confirm the but I'm guessing you're studying computer science.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just my natural tendency was, okay, everyone is just going to default to Serenity OS, sort of like very computer sciencey projects. Why did you like pick OpenMSS again? Like, was it the fact that it wasn't such a computer sciencey thingy? uh, was there some sort of interest in like a domain application? uh,
It was very random. As in, I was in my second year of college and I got to know about Google Summer of Code. And I was just browsing through projects who were participating in Summer of Code the last year. So that year, the projects weren't announced yet. So last year, I was browsing through the organizations and I every organization is very unique and interesting. So I admit that it's really hard to pick something to contribute to, but again, you can cope it down with the language that you're familiar with and things. So again, it was like very random. Yeah, I just found the mission interesting and like thought of like giving it a try.
Um, no, brilliant. It's like very often a very random decision, like in terms of like which project you end up picking. Um, but I do want to ask you later why you've decided to stick with the project even after like 2 3 years, because I think that is a more interesting thing, at least in my opinion. But so 2022 is when you were looking to participate in GSoC. What was that experience like? Because I think everyone is always gung ho about, oh, I just need to get into GSoC. Uh, so yeah, what was that experience like? Was this already like a standard part of culture in the college that you were at, where students were like sort of encouraged? There was some sort of mentorship within the student community, and so on, or was this something entirely new for the student population there?
Yeah, it wasn't very common in the college. My college was like very primitive. A lot. I mean, it's not very modern and things compared to what's happening in IITs and NITs. Teachers still expect you to be in the class or and have full attendance and things like that. Um, Also, they don't know or encourage to participate in a lot of these programs as well. But yeah, fortunately, Anand was in the same college, and I got to see Anand doing this interesting stuff. And Anand was seeing that I was contributing to Serenity OS and things, and he was already participating in GSoC, and he told me you should also try it. So what my first response was, I'll let me contribute for maybe let's say 1 or 2 more years, and maybe then I'll be like eligible for the program. Because I don't think right now I fit into I'm eligible to participate. So yeah, but he convinced me that I mean you are this is the right audience for GSoC and you should try applying. So yeah, so then I started contributing to MSS. It helped me because I was already contributing to MSS even before GSoC announced their organizations. and I came to know that MSS is also a part of it. So,
Interesting.
uh,
So, this was because you had looked at the previous year's list and you saw
yes,
it and you found it interesting.
yes,
So you just started contributing.
yes, yes. So by the time GSoC had announced that year's organizations, I had already been contributing there for 6 months and had a couple of PRs merged. Um, so yeah, I think, yeah, maybe that is a thing why I was also selected for GSoC as well.
No, brilliant. Because so I never participated in GSoC. Fair like warning and disclosure about my opinions, but like at least from everything that I hear, right? So many people only start contributing to organizations after they're announced as a part of GSoC, and then after GSoC is complete, they just completely disappear after the whole thing is done. So I think it definitely is a good signal that you've just picked a project, hoped for the best in terms of maybe it is going to be one of the organizations in the future as well, and then you just start uh, uh, because it'll definitely differentiate you from other people who are also trying to participate in GSoC. Um, I want to go back to one other thing that you just briefly mentioned. Like you said, maybe you're not competent enough to apply for GSoC, and then Anand, at that time, your senior and mentor, uh, like nudged you, told you that you were the right fit, and like nudged you to apply. Do you think that's just one of those you didn't think highly of yourself, or you didn't think you were competent, or like what do you think was the reason why you weren't as confident, and why was he a little bit more uh, better place to be able to push you in that direction? I'm looking at it from the angle of uh, there are so many people who I've nudged to contribute to an open source software, and surprisingly, but unfortunately, there is a significant gender difference where uh, the men usually just say, "Oh yeah, I should be able to do it," and then they jump into it, and the women usually are like, "No, no, I'll need a lot more effort before I can get to a certain level, and then I can qualify for some of these things."
Um, so I agree and disagree as well because I think a nudging definitely helps a lot. I don't see myself applying to GSoC if Anand hadn't nudged me to do so. Maybe in third or fourth year I would have, um, but I think that is where in the earlier years of contributing the um, part where the mentors play because Anand had already done it. He knows what it takes. So now that I have also done GSoC, I can also look at a student's work, and I can be more confident than them that please go forward and do it. You'll be able to finish it. Um, because we, I mean, on the other side, we've just started and we don't know what it takes. We'll be not so confident, not sure.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely true. I think once you're on the other side, you know what caliber of work is expected and what caliber of person is expected. So that's absolutely true. Um, so you got through GSoC. One other very interesting thing that I find about uh, GSoC and like not just your contributions, but like in general about GSoC is the requirement to write regularly, right? I think there's an expectation that you're going to write every single week, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it is a requirement.
So, what was that experience like? Is there like did that help with anything long term? Because at least in my personal experience, and from what I've like experienced talking to people, there are just so few people who are able to write down their thoughts and communicate the work that they're doing, and do that on a consistent basis. Um,
Yeah. So in GSoC, especially while uh, in the mentoring side, it is clearly told to us that communication is the key. Uh, Anybody can write a great proposal. So the evaluation of selecting students is 80% communication and 20% proposal. So
mm,
no matter um, how great your proposal is, and no matter how much PRs are merged, PRs merged also indicates the communication. But what I meant to say is, no matter how strong your resume is, if you haven't communicated and built that trust with your folks from the organization, um, it is very not likely that you'll get in GSoC. Also, we GSoC, since it's async, we are working with people around the globe with different time zones. Communication comes in very key. Um, yeah, I like tell myself to over communicate. Um, if in doubt, communicate it. And we also had this system where every week we had to put out a blog saying what we did this week and what we are planning to do next week, and listing down all the blockers. And every week we also it is also mandatory to have calls with the mentors. And yeah, that can be used for like pair programming or just giving a status update, or maybe discussing the further ideas which you're going to implement.
no, brilliant. That's actually a very important thing. I had a rough idea that communication was definitely an important aspect of the evaluation process, but I think it's a good thing to put, like, again, rough numbers on it, like the fact that 80% of the evaluation is going to be on um, how well they're able to communicate, and only 20% on uh, yeah, the actual proposal that you put forward. Um, so GSoC was, I guess the GSoC experience was overall pretty interesting because you continued with the project. So what was that like after the GSoC period was done? How did you try and balance going back into your usual academic course load and at the same time continue to contribute to open source project? Actually, just 1 minute, I'd like to tell the folks in the call, if you all remind everyone in the call, if you all any questions, Hariharan just posted a question in the chat. So others on the call, please also, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and we'll take them up like as and when they come in, and yeah, again in the course of the conversation. But yeah, Sreelakshmi, how was the overall experience in GSoC, and what was your experience after? Why did you continue contributing to the project?
Yeah, GSoC was still, I was in the very early, um, I would say, contributing stage. So initially, to pick up, to understand the code base was really hard because it wasn't just computer science. It was, I have to understand the requirements of the users, and the users were atmospheric scientists. So even to understand what these variables mean and what this function does, uh, there was a bit of a learning curve. And but my mentors were like super nice, helpful people who would like reply to my answers even like late at night. um, I could like jump on calls and have debugging sessions. So yeah, fortunate that yeah, I was really fortunate to get really good mentors. And after, it was manageable curriculum and GSoC. Um, and after GSoC, so typically what the plan looks like is, in your proposal there is a schedule for the project, but you'll also mention that if time allows, I'll be doing these things as well. So that is what I did after my GSoC period ended. Just tried to finish all those future, I think it was called stretch goals of those projects as well. And yeah, once that was complete, my I think I don't know. I think my mentor proposed an idea. I was building the CLI tool. It would be nice to have like a GUI version of this as well. So then I continued contributing on that as well. Yeah, until I think, and like random small enhancement and things. Yeah.
Brilliant. Um, yeah, I want to leave a little bit of time for additional questions, so I'm going to jump into a very interesting thing that you brought up. Mentorship. You already talked about like having Anand as a mentor in college, and then the GSoC mentors who were the project creators, maintainers, and contributors. Um, what sort of stands out when it comes to your experience with that mentorship? And like you are now a mentor, you were a mentor last year, if I remember correctly, 2024 for the project. So how did it shape your mentorship, uh, uh, like the mentorship experience that you had with all of these people?
So I think what um, what I was really surprised of my mentors was, they they were really clear communicators as in terms of writing. They would like send me long paragraphs so that there is no nudge for confusion or anything. And I remember, since they were from Germany, first initial calls I couldn't understand anything, even though they were talking English. Um, they were really fast, and with the slang it was really hard. So next time, but I told them, and they had this captions on from next time. So they were really patient, because there was a learning curve to it. I would say I was slow initial days and weeks, and took me some point where to which I got the momentum, and then I could like write things at some pace. So they've been mentors of GSoC for like 10 years. So they were really good at it. I wouldn't say um, I'm for the last and this year I'm just helping them with, um, peer review before they actually do the review, or maintaining these parts of code which, the small tools that I wrote. But I think, they're doing the still doing the key job here.
No, again, I think there is no sort of end goal with mentorship. Mentorship is just one of those journeys that you're on, both as a mentor and as a mentee. Um, and yeah, I think it's just one of those things that you pick up over time. But no, that you highlighted two absolutely beautiful things: clear written communication, and patience. And again, it's surprising how often these two things come up with once you start digging into most FOSS projects and FOSS maintainers and contributors, how important and necessary these two things are. Um, I just had a couple of other small questions for you, and then we can throw it open for questions. We have a couple of questions, one from Harika Haran and one from Manikandan. I think we can wait for a couple of more questions before we jump into that. I have one other large question, which is so you've been participating in IndiaFOSS for 2 years, 3 years now.
Yeah.
You were there last year as a speaker. You organized a Birds of a Feather session this year. Um, what has your experience been with FOSS United in general and IndiaFOSS particularly? I find the Birds of a Feather that you organized especially interesting on how can we build a diverse, equal, inclusive, and accessible FOSS ecosystem. So, what was your experience specifically in that Birds of a Feather session?
Um, in particularly with the birds of feather, it was it. I I wasn't much familiar with a lot of these things, and the key part is I got to meet Kirtana, and sh- she shared a lot of interesting concepts which I never knew before. And it was just fun and a learning to be a co-host with her and um, to engage with people of common interest. That was an interesting one. I like that. So I've attended 3 years, 3 IndiaFOSSes. Um, yeah, the first one I just traveled to Bangalore to attend IndiaFOSS from Kerala. Last year I think I speak about CQ2, and this year was the birds of feather. I really like how the community grow and experiment things. Like we now the most interesting thing is we are coming up with something like a season of commits. And there you don't get to see programs like this. I really like the first commit series which we had. Um, yes.
Yeah, no, perfect. I just wanted to like push you a little bit more on there. What do you think are a few strategies that we can have to build again a diverse, equal, inclusive, and accessible FOSS ecosystem?
I think is to um, give opportunity, treat everybody equally. I think all of these is, FOSS United is already doing it. And I think FOSS, the space itself is um, very much um, welcoming and general. Uh, it is itself promotes gender equality and diversity. Um, I remember we don't differentiate as in every every contributor brings in unique ideas. You get more unique, diverse ideas from people from diverse communities. And FOSS is all about creativity. The more inclusive people you have, the more creative the project is. So I think it's in the right direction.
Cool. Um, yeah, no, thank you. Just a couple of rapid fire questions. Do you want to stay in the Python programming ecosystem, or have you fully moved into the JavaScript programming ecosystem?
I am in both.
I
So
mean, for work, if I'm not wrong, you're stuck in the JavaScript ecosystem, right?
yeah, more of the languages, it's just I see it as two different products and problems. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this is not a serious question. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone is multilingual in terms of programming languages at this point, but I'm just going to be a diehard Python person. I don't want to leave that ecosystem. Um, Documentation. Do you want to use RST, or do you want to use Markdown?
Markdown.
Markdown. All right. Uh, Very unfortunate, but what can we do? native apps, do you want to build them with Qt, or do you want to use Electron and the JavaScript ecosystem?
Qt is as in very primitive. Every time it is when I used to work in MSS, uh, I I didn't used to realize it is so primitive until I moved to JavaScript and saw how cool apps could be. And now, and now I realize because the users are atmospheric scientists, they just want to read and write, just want the buttons to be clickable. They don't care how it looks like. So definitely Electron.
Damn, this is very, very unfortunate. Qt needs much better developer advocates to improve its image. Yeah, no, thank you. I think we can jump into the questions. We'll start with Hariharan. Uh, Long story short, he's saying that he's currently filtering Python orgs to start contributing regularly and hopefully for GSoC next year. What advice do you have for him on picking the right orgs and or making meaningful contributions?
Maybe I'm not the right person to answer. Like I said, it was just random. So, um, I think the key part is to get started with contributing, and I wouldn't push too much on waiting to or putting a lot of effort to pick the right org. You could pick anything, anything you do, it's like learning at the end of the day. So, and learning can be applied anywhere. So, even if you contribute to one organization, you don't like it, you feel like it's boring, the other one is really interesting, you could switch anytime. So, more experiments, more learnings.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, there is no right one, and you just need to get started. Um, Moving on to Manikandan, what threshold of my skill set in programming should I evaluate before getting into my first contribution? I think the usual questions about do I need to be stronger in DSA, low level design, etc., before contribution.
I don't know DSA nor low level designs. So open source contributions doesn't require you to know DSA or low level designs. Low level designs depending on where you are contributing. Um, but it really depends on organization to organization. But the just blunt prerequisite is a programming language. At least these days with AI, to understand and read a programming language. Yep.
No, that's great. I actually have a related question. How did you learn all the computer science concepts for your contributions with OpenMSS? Like, did you learn all of them in a classroom or did you learn them on the go?
Hmm. I think I would say I remember a lot of learning a lot of theory for Serenity because that involved because there were tons of books on I think low level languages, C plus, and how generally operating system works. So I used to, because it was really hard to understand their code. Maybe I thought it'll help if I learn some theory. But like I said, what matters is you observe it for X period of time. So I think I figured it on the go. You learn to understand code in a language from classroom. That obviously I did from a classroom. My college taught me Python along with this program as well. But how to contribute? I think with the evolution of the program and time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who still, at least in my personal experience, when you tell them solve this problem, they say, which book should I start reading? And then only when they finish reading that book do they say, okay, now I can start contributing to this project. That's definitely not uh, what the intention or the expectation is. Um, we have a question from Vijaya. What do you think a complete beginner should do to get started? How does someone with no background in programming build strong fundamentals?
Um, yeah. So I would recommend what I'll do currently if I didn't knew any programming language would be just I would go through some basic, let's say Python tutorials, and um, I'll try to write some scripts to automate few things, and then I'll maybe try to write a whole app. Once you can write and deploy one app, then it can be something as simple as like maybe a to-do list or a Flappy Bird, a small game. Then I can, once I'm confident that I know how to read and write some code in Python, then I'll look into projects where I can contribute.
Yeah, no, perfect. There's just two references which I really like, so I've just put them in the chat here. One of the people that I look up to is Greg Wilson. He's written a bunch of books, and all of them are open source. So the books themselves are just publicly available to read and free to read. So yeah, worth checking out. Um, Again, I think a question from Myron is more or less similar. How do you choose a project or an organization? I think we already looked at that. Um, I think I had one more question for you. Have you looked at your 2022 code contributions again? Like, did you look at those PRs? Did you look at the code that you've written? How do you feel about them today?
Um, I had a thought of it. So when I initially looked at the session, um, yeah, I'll definitely look at it now. I, I was trying to find the blog that I wrote just before the call, but what I tried today, because I was doing the session, um, I was thinking how would it be like, so 4 years before 5 years before things were different. I didn't have Cursor or ChatGPT. Uh, so when if I was contribute if I were to do my first commit today, I was thinking what I'll do, which organization will I pick, and I just I I'm a user of Ente and I've been wanting to contribute to Ente for a long time. So how anybody who asks me how to pick an organization, I'll not with GSoC generally. I'd say if you use a app which is open source, you have to contribute to it. So yeah, I was just going through this repository and I found a small thing which can be improved. So uh, I'll be raising a PR today. That will be my first commit to this repo.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's a very nice thing to say, that like first commit isn't something that only happens once. First commit continues to happen with every new project that you run into. That's absolutely beautiful. Um, a couple of like last things. Is OpenMSS still looking for new contributors? Would you recommend people here to check it out and maybe consider participating?
Yes. So yes, we are looking for contributors, as in, but our availability of as in contributor slots with GSoC highly changes. Year to year. Last to last year we had 3 contributors, Last year we just had one. This year we don't know. So yeah, that is one. But generally,
It
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's fine. We don't have to like link it to GSoC. I think the important thing for a lot of people here is just an open source project which is welcoming, which wants you to contribute, and which is convenient for newcomers. And at least that way, again, like people will get to actively participate, do open source instead of just reading about open source and listening about open source.
yeah. It is. Generally, all we we only get a very small list of PRs compared to a lot of other organizations. So we do get time to look into them and mentor new contributors.
Perfect. You also talked about Ente. For the people who don't know, just put a link to Ente in the chat. Ente is a for-profit company, so they don't participate in GSoC. But if you maybe open a couple of good PRs, they'll be able to hire you. Hey, Lakshay, you're unmuted. I don't know if that was intentional. Okay, that got fixed. Um, yeah, it's a Google Photos alternative, Hariharan. It's an end-to-end encrypted Google Photos alternative. Um, so I think we have a couple of more minutes. Would you like to talk about Bruno and whether Bruno is also looking for contributors?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. So Bruno is we have like an overwhelming number of contributors because of the popularity.
What is Bruno?
Bruno is a local Git native API client. So it is a desktop app where you store your collections in your file system as files and folders. So all your data is within your machine, not on any proprietary cloud. Yeah, that is a key differentiator between Bruno and other competitors like Postman. Um, yeah, and we have a very strong open source community around the product. Uh, the I think it's around like 37K stars, and there's a lot of we have we receive an overwhelming number of PRs, and a lot of effort in the company goes into maintaining the open source repo. Yep, if you are a developer and if you have ever come across Bruno and you like Bruno for certain things, um, and if you had like thoughts like maybe this could have been done like that or this, take part in our discussions, and yep, we are welcome for new contributors as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Sreelakshmi. Sorry, you were about to say something?
No, I thought you were on mute. It's,
Yeah, sorry. I got a call unexpectedly. I think just have one last question from Merin. There are cases when you find an organization you want to contribute to, but the code base is too large to get an idea. How do you go about understanding the code base? And should we try understanding the whole code base?
that is a key part. You don't need to understand the whole code base to start contributing, especially with React apps. There are like components. With Pythons, there are modules. So everything that is associated with a module is just right in the module. So yeah, you don't need to understand the whole code base to start contributing.
Yeah, brilliant. I think we can end here. Rishnu, please check out Ente. Ente is written in JavaScript and TypeScript. Bruno is also written in TypeScript. JavaScript, I know for sure. So those are good projects to check out. And yeah, I think we can end there. Thank you very much, Sreelakshmi. It's great seeing these things come full circle. That first commit helped you start this journey, and like you're now here in first commit to hopefully inspire the next generation of folks. Um, Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Rahul. Bye. Have a great day.